Up next on Inspiring Beauty and Believers.
Well, I will say though, the lack of presence caused me, and we talked about this on another call, caused me to have a resentment towards male leadership. And so I kept my distance from deep relationship with men because I was like, you're just.
He's done miracles on me. Back again, he's done. Back again, he's done miracles. Back again, he's done miracles on me.
Not her job. And so it's just been really frustrating. And then once I got at ease with it, because then I started to realize that there are examples, but they're all in my age group. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was hard for me to swallow because now it took a lot of prayer to let go of the resentment that I now had or that I developed for those men to be like, yo, y'all niggas was just here. Like, you was just here. And you might have been going to work every day, paying the bills. But if you don't teach me the value of why you go to work every day, you never showed me how to pay a bill. Like, I didn't know what the mail was coming to the house when I was a kid. Like, I didn't know that there was a cable bill. Like, I didn't know the age. Like, I remember getting mad. Like, you gonna leave all the lights on in the house? Like, why not? The switch work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, no, the light switch work. Why does it matter if I turn it off? Because I didn't know there was a bill associated, and I didn't know you went to work to pay that bill. And so now I'm looking at my generation of men, and that's why I'm super grateful. Even when I watch like the NBA, and I see these men with their children at the game, yeah, and I'm like, see, that's the difference. Because when I was growing up, I didn't see Michael Jordan with his boys at the games. Right now, granted, they show like Del Curry with Steph and them, but they went to practice. They showed them at practice, but that wasn't. I saw the game. I didn't see videotape of footage.
Yeah, it was warm-ups.
You know what I'm saying?
Like just before the national anthem type stuff.
Right. And so now I'm like, damn, like this is all self-taught. So now, and again, I had to really pray on it because I was like, okay, God, I get it. I'm stubborn as hell, so maybe this is how I had to learn. And I was blessed to have examples of people who were walking it, and even if it was prematurely, they were in it. And I was like, all right, that. It wasn't my job. Right. It wasn't their job.
So the interesting thing that you just said about example, and then I come back to your uncle's full circle because I have 4 uncles. And when I was growing up, my favorite uncle was Uncle Andy, who passed away when I was 9. And basically acted like my dad. Like I lived with him once. He was always Crystal, what you doing with that boy? You know, he was always the one checking, like, are you doing these things with him to make sure that he's getting where he should get? One uncle was a jailbird, one uncle was homosexual, and my other uncle, that's my guy now, my Uncle Johnny, let's just say he wasn't the most faithful husband. So my examples, you know what I'm saying, weren't necessarily all wrong, but they wasn't the greatest either, you know what I'm saying? And would my Uncle Johnny come and get me and take me fishing? Yeah. Would he come get us so we could go do stuff? Yeah. But I remember being 15 or 16, cut my mom's grass. He was like, who taught you how to cut grass, boy? Because I'm messing it up. And I was like, no. My mama said to cut the grass. And so then he stopped, showed me how to do patterns, showed me what happens if you go this way versus going that way. And I'm like, okay, this is probably the first time I remember. Like, it stands out in my mind because I remember him saying, let me show you how to do this. 16, 15, 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm shoveling snow. I live in Michigan. I'm shoveling snow. Anybody really taught me how? I just figured, get it till I can see the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know, don't move it from in front of the door just to put it in front of the garage. I still got to get out of the garage. Like, you know, sorry. Yeah. But I said all that to say, there's an aspect. I was on prayer New Year's Eve, and one of the things the Lord showed me was, as we come into this next year, stop leading your boys by instruction only and lead them by example. And specifically what came to mind is my 5-year-old is in boxing. And most of the time, whatever activity he's doing before boxing practice, he doesn't want to stop that to go wrap his hands, change his clothes, and get ready for boxing. So he's like, I hate boxing, but I watch him while he's boxing. He don't hate boxing. It's the transition from one activity to the next that is the challenge for him. So God said, start going with him. So I started going to boxing with him. And he was like, and every time you don't feel like going, tell him. And let him see you go anyway, even though both of y'all don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? And so I talked to Jacob about it. I'm like, Jacob, we're still going to go because we said we were going to go. We're going to keep our word. We're going to keep our commitment, even if we don't feel like it. This is making us better. This is allowing us to learn skills that help us protect our home, our family, our friends. So I was like, it doesn't have to be fun. It won't always be fun. And so now I get to have these life lesson conversations while doing something that he was just on the. I had been driving him to this place for 3 months. We hadn't had that conversation once. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the difference of nothing wrong with instruction, but instruction with example carries so much more weight. And then you have, like, there's men in my life that I value greatly and I love them dearly, but the purposeful intent of fathering somebody. Like, your uncles didn't feel the need to come grab you and instruct you because in their minds, they have their own households to run. So I should just essentially, as a community, whatever Shannon is teaching his boy, when we show up, our presence will likely reinforce without ever having to say a word. Like, he'll see us take the trash out and be like, oh, men really do take the trash out. We would never have to talk to him about the trash. Right. He talked to him about the trash. He actually taught him how to tie it up, take it out, put it in the bag. But when he sees us do it, we're reinforcing what's happening at home. And so many of our uncles didn't really give forethought to pouring into us because essentially they either didn't think about it at all and just figured we would catch on, or B, maybe they did think there is direct teaching at home. I'm simply the reinforcement as the community goes, as the it takes a village goes. The reinforcement of the culture the community used to. Like, you used to couldn't walk down the street and cuss in front of Ms. Johnson's house because Ms. Johnson was like, look, boy, we don't talk like that around here. I'm going to tell your mama. So now what was getting taught at home was getting reinforced down the block with people that you didn't even directly know. You know Ms. Johnson's grandkids. You know Ms. Johnson. You ain't never ate in Ms. Johnson's house a day in your life. But Ms. Johnson know your mama.
And she snitched on
And she snitched. Before you got home, the phone was ringing. You walk into a room. And so, you're right. That's exactly what, listen, I remember specifically riding my bike, and I used to be a daredevil. So I get home, and my mom was like, what are you doing out in the street on West Avenue on your bike? I'm like, I just walked in there. She said, well, Betsy told me she saw it. Oh, my God, I can't go. And then I look like this, so I really can't. Can't nobody say it wasn't Courtney. You know, your little light right now on West Avenue. Yeah, we seen them.
Street lights was on and everything.
No, here's the worst part. It was me and 20 other kids. Yeah. None of them kids got in trouble because she couldn't point out. They all went like, nah, that one, no. He was definitely in the street. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely correct. That's Johnny Powell nephew. Right. So, all that to say, man, I personally I'm mindful of that when I'm around your children. I'm mindful of the reinforcement. Even if I haven't personally heard you talk to Jeremiah about the track, I know at Jeremiah's age, y'all have talked to him about the track. So if I was here and Jeremiah was here and we all eating and I watch him stuff something into a full trash, I'm saying, you see that trash before? And then when my next thing is going to be, I know they taught you about taking out the trash. I'm not telling you to take out the trash. I'm reminding you that you've already been taught to take out the trash. You know what I'm saying? And I think that type of purposeful intent of reinforcement from men, I think that is something that I want to continue to emulate and implement, and hopefully it's something that we as a group of brothers, a band of brothers, and as our net expands, we continue to do that because I do believe that it makes a difference. Like, just like you said, you can tell your boy the same thing over and over, and then Marcus comes in and says it verbatim. Simple Marcus. I receive differently from Uncle Marcus. You know what I'm saying? Like, Uncle Marcus don't get on my head. He just dropped jewels. Exactly. And so I know from his heart when he's saying it, he's not telling me that I'm a disappointment when I fail it. He's just encouraging me to be better at it. And deep down inside, I know that about you too, Dad. But it feels different because you said it 8 times. It feels different because I feel bad when you I get disappointed.
Right.
Mark is saying, I'm like,
It's different. I want to impress the guy that I think is cool out of our group. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Right.
So that carries
And
weight.
saying it's like, hey,
Right.
again.
So always
Like,
on my
it's
exactly. So I feel like all of that is really just we have to be purposeful about it. Like God bless your uncles, God bless my uncle. I love me my uncle Johnny close, very close to this day. But it was it his job to be my dad? No, he had his own children. He had his own household.
I wish I had.
No, I can appreciate that. I really do. I can appreciate that, and I'm sorry it's good. But I do believe, and I told you this before, our cameraman, like I do believe that not only will you be an outstanding father, but I do believe that whoever's son's life that you're in, you will be the kind of purposeful, intentful teacher and guider. An example, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna come and high five you and then only spend time with your parents for 5 hours.
Right.
I have your attention for 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you something in those 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know that as you get older and you have questions, you do have a community available to you. Because I'm gonna tell you the same thing your dad told you, but I might use words that make it make sense a little different just because it's my perspective. And as a father, I want that. I want my voice to be like, yo, I talked about Marcus today, and he told me April 1. And I'm like, I remember telling you that all last year, but you got it.
Right.
And I really don't care about getting the credit of you getting it. I want you to get it. It is what I need you to get. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely.
That part and get that to the limit. It don't matter where it came from. As long as you said it, somebody else gonna reinforce it. You're like, you're right. Don't get that look like, oh, you just gonna act like that. Like I'll be saying that like you don't hear me now. That part doesn't matter. The part that matters is the result. That's the part that matters.
I see what he was doing.
I'm so naive. Hit the nail on the head.
Oh, I love what it's
That
doing.
was beautiful.
I like how it's like, I see.
That was beautiful. It transitioned so well and it came so articulately well. Yes, sir.
And I know we took a very long time on that question, but to be honest, I think out of the list, that's probably the deepest question. Like, there's a very, very deep well of answers that are relevant to that. I mean, we could honestly do a whole session on that one question.
Both you and Mark actually hit the next question, which was if you did have a father figure, whether it was an uncle, a friend, friendship, whatever, what impact did that have on you emotionally, mentally? And then to segue, since we broadened it, what impact do you feel like you are having or would like to have on young men and young boys that are in your life?
I guess we did really want to get into that.
Well, I will say though, the lack of presence caused me, and we talked about this on another call, caused me to have a resentment towards male leadership. And so I kept my distance from deep relationship with men because I was like, you're just physically present. And something that came on the blog, I think around the time Jay started his Herbalife business, was that your presence is more valuable than you being present. Like you can sit in the room with somebody, but your presence is when you're invested in somebody. And I was like, damn, I didn't have that. And so for a while, my immaturity caused me to build resentment toward it. Yeah. Like I never really, and somebody asked me, you really talk to your grandpa like that? He's 97 years old. And I was like, nah, he would literally come downstairs. My grandma would already have his breakfast prepared. He would go sit in his favorite chair, turn on his favorite show, and not talk to anybody unless they made a mistake. And so I've never really had
learning by correction, not by instruction, not by example.
Wouldn't teach you shit, but if you came in, you sat down on the couch, you'd be like, well, that don't go there. Where'd it go? It don't go there. I would just pack up and go into the kitchen.
Right, I'm gonna just stay away from.
I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna keep my distance.
The antagonist in the room.
Yeah, and so it's wild because it took me a long time to realize he's 97. I get to have a conversation with my grandfather while he's still present and just talk to him. But my grandma, he's an only child. He's always been by himself. He's always had his thing. I go, yeah, but all of these niggas aren't. Right. Like, how are they all physically around? Right. But their energy can't be felt. And so, like you said, though, one of the things that I love the most is all of my friends' kids, they're our kids. Right.
Exactly.
I love those kids because I also know what it was like for my mom to have to carry that burden alone and be like, I can't teach him how to raise a man. When you talked about cutting the grass. Absolutely. I remember the first time I tried to cut patterns in the grass.
Yeah.
All because I saw it on because I played
Because it looked
baseball.
dope, right?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, man, it was dope on baseball. My mom
Yeah.
saw it, and she was like, what is that? I was like, I don't know, I was just trying something. I put it in and I don't know. I tried to crisscross pattern. I thought I was smart. I was like, if I raise the motor up and I just cut this higher, and then I cut the cross pattern lower, like I'll get that level. Like, she's like, boy, look at that patchy messed up. I was like, all right, I'm just cut it all down. But now we're in this season where I'm like, yo, I have quality men in my life that, like, when I have kids, I'm like, yo, please go spend time with your uncle.
Right.
Right? Like, even in our business, there were times where I'd be like, yo, I have no patience for this. Well, I know that I have patience. RJ, can you please talk to him right? Please, because seeing him practice patience with his children on a regular basis reminding me, like, I don't have to have it, but I can learn.
Absolutely.
I'm learning through example, watching it. And I'm watching it from the man that I walk this walk with. Like, I'm not. And so I have actually put out in prayer and meditation that I'm looking for male leadership from an older man that's like been in marriage for a long time, raised kids. Because I want to be able to ask questions. But God hasn't blessed that example in my life yet, but He's given me an army of men that are walking that journey now. Like, I mean, we're friends whose kids graduated high school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, what was that like? It's different when you have an S.
Right.
You got a baby. They're fun until they're not. But, like, you have to walk through journey.
I'm sorry. Let me just go on the aspect of your grandfather, something other than I know they went through a lot of stuff on to them, because it's not gonna always be peaches and cream butterflies and puppy dogs and stuff like that. You got, and Courtney said it when he's going through depression, you have to be honest with your kids. I'm having a rough day. I said, I apologize for yelling at you. I just need you to do this. This is what I need you to do today. Let me get a little bit moment, you know what I'm saying, to myself. Let me decompress, and then I'll come spend some time with you. But what enough people are not doing is that you're not spending enough time with your children doing one-on-ones, and that was my solution to that. I would do one-on-ones. Like even today with AJ, I kind of seen like he needed some attention. Sometimes you can feel your kids, everyone, no matter if it's like it's 12,000 of them in here, and I can feel each one of their energy differently. So I'm like, today I was like, oh, he needs me. So I was like, hey, what do you want to do? I was like, we can go play the Wii or something. I was like, let's play the Olympic game or something. I just kind of do it. Sometimes I let them win, you know what I'm saying? Make it feel good. But sometimes
Today he did not.
Today I did not. Someday I'm gonna beat him down. Like Kobe, you gotta remind him. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do it because one of the things that I can do. Man, I love this.
He don't beat me till he beat me.
That's my nice way of saying he really got me, though.
Right?
He really got me though. So yeah, now the funny thing is though is that sometimes I think warranted is good to allow your children to do the way you did, but you gotta still keep them close. Let them go out there and try to figure it out, mess up, because sometimes the mistake is the best teacher. Now I can correct it. Because sometimes you're not listening when I just tell you. So I like to let you just roll out there and go do it till you do it. Now it's like, so what went wrong? And I like to do it in question form. So let's really have a dialogue on what's going wrong, so I can really just break down what's going on so we can correct it. So that's why I tell my children, like my grandmother gave me this one thing that I take with all my kids. Be honest with me up front. I'll ride with you, no matter if it's murder, whatever it is, but you gotta be honest. Because I can't get caught up in this, you know what I'm saying? And you ain't being real with me. And so then, but when you make a mistake, know that you're gonna make it. I said, even though I'm getting on your butt right now.
I'm on your head.
Yeah, I'm on your head all the way, full press. But understand, I love you. That's why I'm telling you this. And sometimes you gotta understand, a man's love, even though it's strong, it's not toxic. It's just strength. And in this strength, is to tell you that it came from all of this that I've been through. So let me just take you right now. These mistakes that you're making by pushing down a trash, Jeremiah, is that you're okay putting your trash on somebody else and not picking it up and taking it out. Even though that point, even though yours is the last one that you're putting on the top, you're okay just leaving your trash at the top and not doing it and carrying this load for somebody else. So I got to work on you for the next generation, because you're okay just pushing it off on somebody else. See, some of the smallest trash is some as big as in life. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So So it's like all the things about character. When I see them, they be like, "Oh man, you owe me that." Well, look, let's sit down. Let me tell you why. Because right now, even though you may not care about what this is, when you get down the line, you keep that attitude, it's not going to be success. It's in my hard work, dedication, and off the backs of our grandparents. Because right now, my kids are in Tennessee. I spent the money and didn't even go to send them to the Civil Rights Museum. That's the only thing I asked their grandfather, take them to the Civil Rights Museum so they can know what you are walking upon, what we was built upon. You need to know you need to know where Martin Luther King died and what he died for, so you can keep carrying it. And then unless we know our past, a la Marcus, like I said, I don't know unless you teach me. So all them times I was like, God dang, y'all making me change brakes, bro? Like brakes, like I can change brakes. I can fix the car. I'm like, you're like, bro, you want your car to stop? You want your car to stop? I'm like, dang, I was like, dang,
You know how to change brakes.
I don't do it no more. I pay.
But you know how?
Yeah.
I
I know how to fix a whole car.
Say word.
I had a brother
In the backyard in Pomona, my granddaddy and them, they raised us up on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shake your car.
Yeah.
Yeah. All day in the backyard, they was working on cars, my uncle and them. That's why I feel like the school system gotta bring back trades. And that's what my uncle, that's what my uncles and them was learning about that. If it wasn't at home, they learned it at school. But yeah, I learned everything about cars. I remember one day we almost died, and my uncle was like, look, you gotta have to learn how to change these brakes. And I was like, I already know how to do it because I'm gonna do it which because I was taught before. And so like that's what happens when you start each one teach one, it starts becoming a community of everybody like, hey, dad already showed me how to do this. I know you're getting on you, but if you do it right, you know what I'm saying, you gotta get him out. So whatever way it works to get you there, like I big up to MJ. He could be an irritant to somebody, but you do whatever it takes to make sure you get to move, because that's the common goal. If it's my patience and my niceness, or if it's MJ doing that, our whole goal is to get you just to move another step forward.
Yeah.
Because if we can advance our culture another step forward, we're coming so much further along. But I don't. So.
I had the girl that I dated my senior year of high school. I had already been pretty close with her family. Her father was a former NFL player. He was fullback for the Steelers. He's got Steelers Super Bowl rings, and he's got University of Michigan Rose Bowl. Minister. I quit my job my senior year of high school. I walked out of my job because I knew I was going to the Army. And they were basically about to demand more of me. And I was just immature and at a place in my life where I was going to get my running before I left the Army. So instead of saying, I really don't want that part of the job, I literally left on break time. Just drove off. It was break time. I got the car and it was.
I don't need this job.
Yeah, I didn't, but it was ridiculously immature. If I had a father, I believe I never would have made this. At some point along the way, a different work ethic would have been absolutely. And so she told her father, like she snitched on me basically. And I'm so glad she did. Like shout out to Lauren Davis. Well, Lauren Parker now, she made a wonderful cat name for it. Anyway, long story. Her dad was like, tell him I said come see me. And so I got summons. I got called to the red carpet. Like I walk in the door and he's sitting on the couch at the other end of the room. And he's like, come here, man. And I was like, he's a massive man. He's a huge teddy bear. But I knew teddy bear tone was not present. It wasn't be afraid, but it also wasn't this. We're not here for hugs today. Mm-hmm. And he said, sit down. He said, one day, he was like, I heard you put you down. I said, yeah. He was like, let me tell you a story. So when I was playing for the Steelers, I was in the parking lot one day after practice. And little kids always come up to the practice and try to get autographs from guys. And he said, I watched a teammate like really, really shoe a kid in a manner that was kind of disrespectful. And he said that little boy happened to be one of the owner's sons, but the player didn't know. And that little boy went and told him. And it affected that gentleman's career. It affected his playing time immediately on that. And his reputation started. He said, you have to be very careful with other people because you don't know who you will need again. And then he said very simply, never burn a bridge. I was 18 when I got the burning bridges. I'll never forget it. I'm so grateful that he took the time to have that conversation with me. It was something that I kept mindful as I grew into my adulthood, but I also feel like I should have learned it. I should have learned it when I quit a sport. I should have learned it when I gave up on something I said I wanted to get good at. I should have learned. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so, that man, even if he know you don't like what you said you were going to do, you said you were going to do it, he's going to make you see it through up to a certain extent. If you're miserable a year later, it's not for you. But son, you gave it a year. And to be honest, you're better at this than all of your friends because you gave it a year of dedication. I tell Jaden, one of the dopest things about boxing it's my favorite sport, but one of the dopest things about having him in boxing is I get to give him life lessons after practice. Because I mean, in sports, you could probably do it with any sport, but boxing specifically, because it's the nature of it is combat and fighting. I said, son, you sparred, you got punched right in the face. It hurt, you cried. I said, but I have never in my life been more proud of you than when you went back for the second round when you were still crying. Because that like, that's exactly what I'm saying. The face, bro. I said, I try to create, like, I mean, there's probably some psychological term for it, but like sonic triggers. Like when I want to drop a jewel, I'm like, son, I always remember this. So hopefully when he sleep one night, he's like, you know, my dad used to say, son, I always remember this. It might get on his nerves, but it'll be that. But I tell him, I said, son, life doesn't fight fair, and life doesn't care that it hurt you. So you have to be able to take the hit and in your pain, continue pressing through with what you know to do. Don't just go back out for the second round with your hands down. Because, well, I'm in the fight, but no. Go out there and continue to do what you've been trained to do through the pain. So you may find yourself victorious on the other side of it. You may find that hit inspired you to fight a little harder. You might actually be better than Jaden. Technically, Jaden is a much better fighter once he's been tagged. Like it turns on for him. Like he's in there trying to be friendly and stuff, and you hit him, and he gets mad. He starts throwing real good. Like, there he is. There's the fighter. Sometimes you gotta activate that fighter. You know what I'm saying? I'll say all that just to say, like, it gives me such an example. Like I love the fact that it gives me translatable life lessons. You know, not only do we not quit, not only do we train when we don't feel like it, but in the midst of it, when it's hard, we keep going. Like I hurt my wrist my second month boxing. I'm still in physical therapy, and I still go. I just have to pull punches with my right hand when I hit the bag because I don't want to re-injure it. But I wanted to use it as an excuse to not go. But how do I look at him and say, we hurt, so we just gonna quit? Nah, how about we just jump rope and shadow box? We can still come. We can just, you know, wait until we heal all the way to participate completely. And so, y'all know I ramble, but I really think it's important to utilize those elements. And it all goes back to being purposeful. Russell Davis III was purposeful in calling me to his house to ensure that he taught me something that he felt I didn't understand. He knew my home situation. He probably never did at the house. So he's like, Russell Davis II probably taught him, and Russell Davis I probably taught him. Let me share something with this young man that I found valuable in my manhood on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like to this day, I could call Russell Davis and he's like, "What you need, son?" Like I know he would. Like it's just the kind of person he is, but he didn't have to. I was his girlfriend's raggedy little boyfriend. I mean, his daughter's raggedy little boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely could have been the person he could care less about. Yeah, right. So, you know, he saw enough of me to say, bring that young man here, I'd like to teach you something. So that purposeful fatherhood, that purposeful manhood, that purposeful example, that purposeful implementation of life skills and reinforcement of teaching, I think it's just a mantle that we have to volunteer to take up on our shoulders because.
Subscribe so you don't miss next week's video.
Tell that, especially that boy. If I heard that mom tell that boy something several times, I'm like, little bit, did you hear what your mom just said? I don't care.